was one that was allowed, and then there was one that wasn't allowed.
Let's
so
see what you're saying at home about this morning. 0207 173 5555. Pick up the phone. Want to hear from you, Amy? Who have we got?
We seem like we've got quite a united view, actually. But we're going to go straight to Roger on line 1.
Morning to you, Roger.
Good morning, young man. How are you?
Young man. I'm 34, man. I'm getting old. Look at the grey hairs. Where do you stand in this one?
I personally believe that when you are in a different country, you should abide by their rules. When I was travelling the world, you go to a mosque or a temple, you have to cover your legs, you have to cover your arms. You stand by that country's rules and regulations. Yeah. I've lived in France, and the French seem to have an absolutely wonderful policy whereby...
Roger, listen to what you just said. When you're in a different country, this is his country. This was this girl's country. It is her country. She lives here.
I agree with you.
What are you on about?
I agree with you 100%. When I was in a different country, now I'm in this country, and when I was in France, it's the same in France. They have their rules and regulations. In France, the rules and regulations quite clearly state, no matter about your religion or creed or colour or whatever, these are the rules and regulations, you stick by them. The French do an excellent job and they stick by them.
But there is also a difference in France, which is that I understand that in state schools they're not allowed to have any religion in the school whatsoever, and that is a difference because many of our schools are faith schools.
That's right, and try doing this in this country. Do you see the uproar there would be? Yeah. Let's take another call, Amy.
Let's go to Alan on line 3.
Morning to you, Alan.
Good morning. Right, I agree. I mean, I'm in my 60s. I was brought up in a totally different era. We didn't have these kind of problems in my day. But I agree 100% with your school teacher in the audience, right? These parents knew which school this child was going to. The school lays down the law. They say, this is the rules, this is what you have to wear, these are the conditions that we apply to this school, and this is what it is. And
rules have got to adapt with time, Alan. You've got to change. Alan, you've got to change with the times. Do you not? You cannot.
Where does it end? Where does it end?
Well, it ends in that we don't have computers in these schools. We have headmasters and headmistresses that should look at a situation and say, is that really offensive? And not get on like your man here, Simon, which says, the rule's it, and that's it.
No, I'm sorry, the parents knew the rules when they went to the school. They must have been laid down to them. And then to put the child in that school, and then for that child to come back and say, well, I want to wear this band, and this is all wrong, it's infringing my rights as a Muslim, or whatever, it's totally wrong. I think it's wrong, and I agree 100% with your gentleman in the audience.
And when we're constantly talking about tolerance, then, in this country, that shouldn't apply to schools as well?
Of course it should apply to schools, but you know the rules when you go in there. I mean, I was in the services.
Why are you sighing at me?
Well, because you're suggesting that the school are intolerant because that the headmaster sits down with his staff and works out a certain number of rules and regulations. Are you saying that that's intolerant?
I'm asking you, what is so offensive about that bangle?
We're not talking about that bangle.
Yes,
we are talking about...
Hold that up for me.
I know what it is. I was listening.
Now, that's what deserves a high court case.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. All I'm saying is this issue is not about wearing bangles. It's about schools having the ability to set rules and regulations, and once they set those rules and regulations, not having them challenged by one of the children.
The kids will nod their heads and they'll say, yes, sir, no, sir, and they'll not be individuals and they'll not learn to fight for themselves and they will just conform. What a sad state this country would be in. Amy, another call, please.
We've got a practising Sikh on the line. It's Harry on line 4.
Morning to you, Harry.
Hi, good morning.
Do you want these kids to conform as well?
Right, I'm quite astonished watching this television programme. Firstly, to call it a piece of jewellery is an absolute disgrace.
Is that offensive?
Very offensive. A Gada is one of the 5 Ks of Sikhism.
Well, can I say, Harry, that if I've done that, I'm sorry, and I genuinely mean that, and I think we can probably learn from this today.
Okay.
Tell me why it's offensive.
Okay, if you just let me continue. Firstly, it's one of the 5 articles of faith. It is required to be worn by baptised Sikhs. Now, secondly, that man sitting in the audience, I'm disgraced by his behaviour. He's shouting his head off on television. This is a multicultural country, okay? It's an ethical country. If he's a teacher himself, or if he deals with members of the public himself, I cannot believe the way he's reacting. Secondly, my wife went to a Church of England school. She was required to go to the church. You know, every day, I cannot see how wearing a bangle, a Gada, can affect your education. This is unbelievable how someone is getting so irate. I'm so offended, it's unreal.
I'll let you reply very quickly.
I just think schools need to set rules and regulations. The parents knew about the rules and regulations before she went to school. They should have sent her to another school.
All right, no
Do you
doubt.
know something, Stephen? I've got to say, the judge's ruling, he said it was for us to be tolerant of each other and to draw people of faiths together. All this ruling has done is cause more confusion and seems to have separated more people than it's drawn together. You know, and it should be more about tolerance, surely.
All right, well, listen, we'll continue to take your calls this morning.